Welcome to the F The Stigma Podcast. My name is Laisha, and I'm here with Malik as my guest on the podcast today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you, Laisha, for allowing me to be here. It's definitely an honor to be here.
Of course. I appreciate you coming all the way from PG County to be here and to have this conversation. And for those who don't know, F The Stigma is a 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to break the stigmas with mental health and addiction. And this podcast is one of the main ways we go about doing that, because we need to start having these conversations about mental health and addiction to maybe help somebody else feel less alone, or somebody feel seen, or just education. You know what I mean? Like, it's very important and empowering for somebody to be sharing their story of like getting to the other side. So we're going to be diving into Malik's story today. How long do you have in recovery or sobriety?
I have a couple different dates because I'm one of those that had addictive personality. So it was drugs, alcohol, gambling, and I throw cigarettes in there because I recently overcame that addiction. So for the last day I had a drink of alcohol and a drug was on September 26th of 2021.
Amazing.
And then fast forward a little bit, of course, I thought because I wasn't drinking or getting high, now I could gamble. So the gambling took a little longer. So that date was March 15th of 2022, the last day I placed a bet. And then cigarettes came a little later. That was October 28th of 2023, where I used those same principles and said, I got to stop these cigarettes too. So
No, amazing.
by the grace of God. So yeah.
Quitting nicotine is one of the hardest things to do. And I was I was at a meeting last night, and I was having this conversation with somebody like that. I've heard from so many people it's harder to quit than heroin.
That's what I hear. Yeah. And it was tough. It really was.
Nicotine is crazy, but for me it's like, let me have my one thing of like relief. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the goal is to eventually quit. I've taken the step away from like smoking and like vaping. So step in the right direction.
No, I definitely resonate with what you said because, it was like drugs and alcohol, gambling. Now you're telling me I just want my one thing. I can't smoke cigarettes. So, but.
What do you think inspired that? Like, why did you want to do that?
With the cigarettes?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wrote down the pros and cons of smoking cigarettes, and I could find no pros.
Yeah.
So when I did that, it was a list, a clothes stink, I'm hawking up mucus, all of these things, money, they're expensive. So when I did that, I said, you gotta let it go. Health reasons, so yeah.
So a main issue for you was drugs and alcohol. When did that come in the picture for you?
Yeah, that's came in early, around, I'm gonna say 14, 15 years old. And, as I look back at my story now, looking from the other side, I realized it was some traumatic stuff in my childhood that happened that I wanted to experiment with alcohol, starting with alcohol and cigarettes and gambling a little bit as well. And then going into smoking weed, and then going into harder drugs. So around 15 years old, I would say, that's when it came into my life. And some of that trauma was, coming from a private school in Washington, D.C. I lived in D.C. for up until about 7 years old, somewhere around there. Then I moved to PG County, but I was still going to this private school in D.C., up until the end of my 5th grade. So when I got to public school, I actually skipped 6th grade and went straight into public school from private school. And during that process, when I got into this public school, it was shock trauma. Like I'm getting teased, because I'm overweight, I'm different. I'm getting bullied because I was a big dude, but you had dudes that failed 2 grades that were in middle school, and I skipped a grade, so they're like 3-4 years older than me. And so it was very challenging, and I hated middle school and that experience. I hated, getting teased and all that. So that did something to my self-esteem.
For sure.
And, looking for validation, looking for my crowd acceptance. So by the time I got to high school, mind you, I skipped a grade, so I was young in high school. I think I started my freshman year around 13 and maybe 14. And then when I got into high school, that's when I began to have some popularity. I started playing basketball. I lost some weight. And now I was introduced to alcohol and cigarettes. So that liquid courage it gave me, and that I was like, this is it. Like I'm the man now, because my sister was in high school with me. Mm-hmm. So I knew her friends. I had my friends. And my brother graduated the year before that. So the guys that he knew, they were seniors now. So they kind of took me under their wing. And I'm hanging out with, the football team, basketball players, and started my own band and things like that. So the popularity and the party lifestyle really took flight in high school. And it did something to me. It made me feel important. It made me feel validated. It masked all those insecurities that I had and that low self-esteem.
I completely understand. Because that same experience with me, it's like I was in this very alcohol. I was introduced to alcohol in high school as well. And I was in this place of just like immense insecurity and wanting to fit in and wanting to be liked, but not knowing how to connect with other people. And as soon as alcohol was in the picture, it's like, wow, I have a warm, fuzzy feeling. I'm confident. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what low self-esteem is anymore. Mm-hmm. And I can like talk to you, connect with you and all of that. And it makes you, it's like this illusion of feeling powerful.
Yeah.
What was home life like for you?
Oh, I grew up, my childhood was awesome.
Really?
Like I said, everything, like my parents, they're still together. So in March, they'll be celebrating 60 years of marriage, God willing. They still in love with each other.
That's amazing.
I have a brother and sister. They're both older than me, so that was a part of it too. I was the youngest, so I had a little bit more leniency with my parents.
Right.
So that I was doing some things that they probably couldn't get away with, but we are very close knit family. Grew up, eating dinner together, traveling together.
Wow.
Across. They even had a mobile home, a camper. We drove from D.C. to California.
That's
back,
awesome.
Stuff like that. And then extended family, cousins and stuff. So I've been truly blessed with an awesome family. Like
I love
a lot
that.
of support and love.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that also highlights and emphasizes like your upbringing can sometimes have nothing to do with that, with alcoholism or mental health issues. Because we think that it's like, I thought truly that I had to have like the worst upbringing and be beaten every day or starving to even be an alcoholic or an addict. That's part of the stigma.
That's absolutely. That's such a good point. Like when I'm working with my clients, I tell them, talk to them about that too, that our addiction, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, gambling, it doesn't discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't care. It doesn't care how old you are, like you said. It doesn't care your family dynamic. It doesn't care your race, your culture. It doesn't care about any of that. So that's a great point you made.
You started drinking.
Mm-hmm.
You're smoking cigarettes. You're like freshman or sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
How do we progress from there?
Well, the first, and this is the crazy thing, right? Because the first experience I had drinking was hanging out with a senior on the football team that my brother knew. Mind you, my brother just graduated. And I was, I wanted to grow up fast. I wanted to be, like I said, a part of the in crowd. So I'm like, he says, let's hang out. So we go over one of the girls' house that we both knew, mutual friend. And we go over there, and then we go to the store. And this is going to show my age a little bit. We went and got Mad Dog 2020. And if you don't know what that is, you look it up. but this was my first experience drinking. Mm-hmm. So we go out, get the drink, and they came in pints. So I had a pint of Mad Dog 2020, and it was like they had all different flavors. I think I had like grape.
Is it like kind of like the equivalent of like Four Loko today?
I don't know. I like Four Loko, I heard of it, but I never had it.
Okay.
But it's like a real cheap wine type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, with the fruity taste or whatever, but just really nasty but cheap.
Right.
So I just remember guzzling. It was like a grape flavor or something, and I guzzled the whole thing. First time ever drinking, and I'm like, yeah, I can handle myself, trying to show off and all of this. So next thing I remember, I'm waking up the next morning on the living room floor of my house, and my mom is sitting right there on the sofa. I turn around, and she said, your neighbor found you out in the street stone drunk. I blacked out. First time ever drinking. The guy I was with, the senior on the football team, he knew my brother. He tried to throw rocks in the window because they couldn't get me. I blacked out. They couldn't get me up to walk in the house. He tried to throw rocks at my brother's window to wake him up so I don't get caught by my parents. And they ended up leaving me on the driveway. And that's how my neighbor, who was a park policeman,
Oh, wow.
came home at like 3 a.m, saw me out there, knocked out, passed
insane.
out. And then my parents came, of course, got me in the house. And that was my first experience, and it was terrible. Like, I was so sick, I was throwing up for 1 or 2 days after that. And they were really about to take me to the hospital because they said they felt like I might have had alcohol poisoning from my first experience. So that was the first experience I had with alcohol. So the thought of it even made me sick for weeks or months. But as time went on, I ended up being like the designated alcohol buyer because I was young, but I had like a goatee. And back then they wouldn't really card. I was big, so they didn't card me. So we would go get kegs, and my parents went out of town a lot, so my house became like the party house.
Wow.
So I'm just, showing you how it started progressing. And then after that, all these parties and drinking was just everything. Every new malt liquor that came out, like it was Red Bull, Crazy Horse, St. Ides, all these malt liquors, that's what we started drinking regularly. And then once I barely graduated from high school, I was doing good before alcohol and gambling and all that lifestyle. I was doing good in school. And then the last 2 years, I just kind of checked out.
Right.
And so after that, that's when I barely made it into college. And that's when it went to smoking weed. So that was the next thing. Because the alcohol and cigarettes was all throughout high school. Skipping school my last 2 years, drinking, partying. Like I said, I had a band, so everything was surrounded around that. And then when I went to college, that's when I started smoking weed like every day, heavy. And shortly after that, I went to Howard University. So
Wow.
Yeah, so my father, he was a dean of residence life at Howard. So I did stay on campus my first year. So I'm staying on campus, but I'm still coming home on the weekends, hanging out with my friends that I known from high school. So we're smoking weed, partying, and things like that. And then the next thing you know, I started, this is around, the crack era had already hit hard, but crack was so big now. People were making a lot of money selling crack. So I got hooked up with one of my high school friends, and I started selling crack.
Wow.
And so I would do that. And in college, all I really did was gamble. I didn't go to any classes. I would sit in my room, wait for the guys to come out of classes, and I was playing Tonk. I don't know if you're familiar with the game called.
I'm not familiar with gambling at all, so I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah, so Tonk, that was like a big game we played, and like I said, I was gambling already from a young age, but I was making so much money in college, I didn't even go to class.
Right.
So now college was full of gambling, drinking. Now I'm selling crack when I go home and in my summer breaks, and now I'm also lacing crack on my weed and my cigarettes now. So,
What do you mean?
It's called woolies, where you break up the crack rock and you put it. You could get a blunt or paper and roll up. You put the nicotine. You could break down your nicotine, put it on the paper, or you could do weed. And some people do even harder drugs, and then you break up the rock and lace it, crumble it on top of that, and then you roll it up and smoke it. And I loved it. From the first time I smoked it, I loved it.
Explain that first experience of you trying crack. Was it initially you wanted just to sell the crack, and then how did you decide that you were like, let me try it?
Yes, initially it was the sell because I was scared.
Why are you scared
of becoming labeled or being what they say a crackhead? I was scared of that because I saw what it did to people. I saw what it did to pretty women. I saw what it did to people getting killed over it, people robbing, stealing, what they look like after they use it. So I just wanted to make money. But how it got there is because I've always been like this risk taker. I've always been this person that think like that's gonna happen to you, but that's not gonna happen to me. So let me try it, being that risk taker. And then I tried it and loved it. And I knew, I was like, wow, I probably crossed the line here, because now my guy is fronting it to me and I'm not even selling it. I'm smoking it now.
Right.
And then I saw how, like, because a big thing was if you get it, you could get a girl who does it. You could use that to your advantage for that. So I did that too. So it was just the whole false sense of power that I thought that drug gave me, and how I felt, the euphoria when I did it. So that was scary.
Right.
That was scary.
I do want to dive in more to that, but I kind of want to go back to your gambling addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you started gambling in high school?
Yeah, well, actually before high school. I would say my freshman year. That playing tonk.
Okay.
I used to play in the neighborhood, and I also used to play spades with my friends. We would partner up and then find different people to play, and we'd gamble, maybe $20 a game or something like that.
Yeah, starting off small like that.
Yeah, starting off small.
That's funny. The first time I ever played spades or was introduced to spades was in treatment, my first time in rehab.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. I heard it was like a jail or prison game, so I felt cool playing it. So, yeah, explain gambling. Explain gambling addiction. Is it any different from alcoholism or drug addiction? What is the obsession with it?
Well, they say the worst thing someone with a gambling addiction or that's prone to that can do is win. And that's what happened to me from the beginning. I won. So my mind automatically switched the dopamine hit with that. And my mind already was like, this is a way I can live. I love this because, to answer your question, I don't think it's different. The only difference to me, is just one is substances and one is just something that you do instead of, taking in or drinking or putting in your body.
Right.
One is in your body and one is out of your body, but it's the same dopamine hit, the same rush, and the same, I think, the mental part of it is the same. Feeling like you need that, or, feeling like you have to do it, or you're compulsively thinking about it.
The only difference I can see with gambling addiction and drug addiction and alcoholism is with gambling, you're just putting money on the line, which, can provide your housing, your food, and all of that, which is extremely important. And with addiction, it's almost like your immediate life is on the line.
That's a good comparison. And, the crazy thing about having a compulsive gambling addiction or problem gambling behavior is that versus alcohol or drugs, it's really not but so much you can do in one setting, right? Before your body passes out or hope prayerfully not overdose, but before your body shuts down. But with gambling, you can lose everything in one outing. You can lose it all.
Right.
So it's that's why they talk about how out of all of the addictions, that gambling has the highest suicide rate.
Really?
Yes, out of all of the addictions. So it's one of those things that is very, very sneaky.
Yeah.
Very sneaky, addictive, and it's very dangerous because you really can lose it all and lose your house, so yeah.
Explain what you feel, though, when you lose. Like, how does your brain rationalize you to, like, keep gambling?
Well, listen, I'm a sore loser, and I used to be a real sore loser. So I couldn't, it would turn into anger, to rage. And the part about it is that sore loser, on top of being competitive, it was like, I'm going to go back and get my money back. And that's where the compulsion starts too, that you start thinking you're going to get your money back. And the thing about it, like addiction to substances, it's never enough. So you're going to continue to chase. Even if you hit the jackpot, it's never enough.
You're like, I could
get more.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing when we chased that first high or that first drunk that we had. It's the same thing with gambling. So you'll never have enough of it. And we all know how the story ends, right? So those are the comparisons I can see.
Right.
And that's what happened to me. I started chasing that thing, and it got bad. If we go into more, that it got real bad. All of my addictions, the ones I had. Yeah.
Going back, you are a Howard student, Howard University student, and now you're selling crack. You progress to now smoking crack, and you're still gambling. So, yeah, what happens next?
And I'm drinking, of course.
And we're drinking.
So, and the crack was getting more and more with the lacing. Like, people could smoke crack like out of a stem or a pipe. I wasn't doing that, but not to say that what I was doing wasn't as harmful. It's just a different thing. But it was starting to increase. And so from there, now I'm at Howard. Like I said, gambling heavy. Everything, my whole experience was gambling, drinking, doing drugs in college. Mm-hmm. So now they're throwing card parties off campus. Some of them were outside of my dorm room, which they called the casino.
Wow.
Now we're throwing parties at different, places, different guys where they're staying, off campus, where there's music and stuff like that. And we're over there in the corner gambling and drinking, smoking weed and all of that. So now, I remember this situation. I get to an off-campus party. This was a strictly gambling party, though, card party. I go over there, and my ego's so big, thinking that there's no way I could lose, because like I said, I was winning so much money at Howard. So I was like, I can't lose. I'm invincible. So this outing, this party, this card party, I go over there and lose a lot of money. And I'm drinking with it too. For me, gambling and drinking was like peanut butter and jelly, just goes together. So I lose all this money, and I'm 21 years old. Because I never graduated from Howard because of these things I'm talking about. But I lose all this money, and now I told you I'm a sore loser, so I'm ticked off. So I'm throwing drinks back.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I got to get out of here because I'm mad. So I get in my Jeep at the time, and I drive. This was one of those weekends where I was staying at home at my parents' house. So I drive going back to my parents' house. And this is the insanity. Like, when I black out or when my mind gets so caught up or so drunk, I'm down a 2-lane road. I'm going one way. A cop car's coming the other way. I'm so mad and drunk, I jump in front of the cop car on purpose and swerve back over. And of course, what do you think happened? They hit the sirens, turned around, and locked me up for my first DUI.
Wow.
So my first DUI was just stupidity, but it needed to happen because it's a part of my journey. So first DUI at 21, get locked up, get a slap on the wrist, probation before judgment. I'm right back drinking, doing. I'm like, this is what you do at this age. So that was a key part of my story when that happened, because that should have been enough to be like, you know what, you're tripping. You got a problem. You know, you have a problem with all of these things, with not just drinking and using drugs, but you have a problem with anger. So and not being able to accept things. So that was a big part right there of my story. As I look back in hindsight and say, wow, this was the beginning of some destruction to come.
100%. That was really bold of you to do that.
Insane, I would say.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, same. Like, you'd think I got 3 DUIs. You'd think after my first one, it'd be like, whoa, like, you need to take a look at a few things. But it's like, no, like, I'm really upset I got this DUI, so I'm going to keep blacking out to not feel that pain and frustration.
That's a good point.
I'm going to keep rebelling. Like, what got me into the problems was my solution.
That's the vicious cycle, right? We drink to get rid of, or drug or whatever it is to get rid of the pain.
Yeah.
Then we're in pain because of that. Now we go back to the cycle. Now we're trying to get rid of the pain again.
Exactly.
Like you said, the problem is the solution. The solution is the problem. Yeah.
It's like once you start that cycle, it's so hard to get out of it.
Yes.
It's like, and it seems like such common sense being out of it looking in now. But what happened needed to happen.
Yes. Yep. And that's a good point you said, because that's part of the stigma too. Because what you just said, now we're on the other side, we're looking at it, but now the people that don't know what this is all about, that's how they're looking at us. Common sense. Why are they doing that? Like, they should just stop.
Exactly.
You know, why are they doing that? And we can see it now, but that's the stigma too, that you could just get out of this thing. And, you know, you're choosing to do this, but it's a lot of underlying things going on when we drink that heavy to destroy ourselves, or using to destroy, and we know it's just destroying us, but we continue to do it. It's a root issue going on. That's why they say it's only a symptom of what the real problem is. So yeah, that's a great point.
So what happened after this first DUI? You realized you had anger issues. And what are your parents thinking at this time? Like, are you in contact with them? What's going on?
That's a great question. Like, my parents traveled so much, and I had a way of masking it. Because remember, I'm staying on campus, coming home on the weekends. So they didn't know anything about. They might have known that I might have been drinking and stuff like that. They didn't know I was smoking weed every day, lacing it with crack, gambling in school, and getting drunk like I was. They didn't know that. So, because I wasn't around them every day. And they were real busy doing their, living their life, starting businesses, entrepreneurs and things like that, traveling a lot. So it was, I had a lot of space to where my family didn't recognize what was going on.
Right.
And I would just isolate if
there was an issue.
Yep. If it was family events and things like that, and I was high, drunk, or whatever, I wouldn't go. So they didn't know this. So a lot of the story that they're hearing now about my life, they're like, wow, because they didn't know the extent. They saw me drunk sometimes later on and things like that. They knew they did know about the DUI, of course, but I think they was just saying, it was a mistake.
College student.
We all drink and drive here and there. Yeah. It was a mistake. He's going to be okay.
What were some of the things you saw as a crack dealer?
Wow.
Some of the things you experienced.
I mean, just no boundaries. I mean, just seeing people like selling their body, selling all of their belongings, their furniture, you know, the part they call it geeking, when they get to that point where they've used it now, they don't have money to get any more, or now that it's just they're tweaking for it. Just seeing that part, like finding out where I live, knocking on my door at 3 a.m. over my parents' house. I'm like, oh, you know, wait a minute, you can't, you know, that it's just no boundaries. So, you know, seeing people stealing stuff, you know, going to any limit to get it. And that was real scary. And then, of course, growing up in the DMV, PG County, right outside of D.C., at one point, D.C. was the murder capital of the world because of that, because of crack, because of that epidemic. So, you know, you see all types of stuff, you know, dealing that stuff. So, yeah.
Did that change your perspective about you, seeing that, since you started smoking crack?
I think...
You were like, oh, I'm so not like that.
Oh, definitely. I was saying that.
Yeah.
That I'm not like that. And it was a part of me that knew I couldn't go all the way in with crack. So I did it. I had binges and I had time, but there was a lot of time that I didn't smoke crack, where I focused on, it was always something though. Alcohol,
right,
weed, you know, it was always gambling. It was always something or a combination. But there were periods of time where I was like, nah, I don't, because I was scared. I was terrified. I didn't want to end up like what I saw crack can do to people. So that one terrified me, and I knew I loved it that much. So I would back off, even with the alcohol and things like that. When it started getting bad, what do? We back off for a little while in our own willpower. And then the next thing you know, things going better. Okay.
All right, I can do it again.
Yep, I could do it again.
Yeah, same thing happened to me after my second DUI. I'm punching mirrors. I'm hitting myself in the face. Like, I'm just so pissed that I did that. And then I got myself in that situation. I'm done with Xanax. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. 2 weeks go by. Okay, I haven't gotten in any trouble. Like, I can do it again in moderation. And this wasn't the case. Like, I ended up getting my third.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, the dangerous part is when things are going good. Because we forget, right? We forget of the trouble that we just got out of. We forget about those nights where we were blacked out, the DUIs, whatever it was. We forget about the fights and all of these things. So that's the dangerous part, when things are going good.
Yeah, especially when you are consuming substances that make you black out, you genuinely don't remember how bad it was or how bad it was getting. You're like, what are we talking? I don't remember that fight. I don't remember getting in that fight a few days ago.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I was a blackout drinker, so yes. Like, it's a couple, when you just said that, it was two situations that popped up in my head. I remember blacking out, throwing up under my friend's Christmas tree with all the presents under there.
Damn.
You know, and I think this was right out of high school too. And I also remember going to Atlantic City, and this was around the time I caught my first DUI, because I remember I was saying, I'm 21 now. I can go to the casino and gamble now. And I remember going to the casino, and my game was craps in the casino, because I started playing craps, shooting craps, dice with the guys in the neighborhood. And I was like, I'm going to go master this in the casino. So I had a number in my mind. I'm going to win when I get there. What do? I win that number. I get to that number. Did I stop? No. I said, oh, I can win some more. This is easy. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, I'm up here. That's the first time. Then I go back with my friend, and I'm drinking just pulling them back, Hennessy's, the whole time. We up there for some hours. He had a room. He had recently got married, and I had a room, my own room, and I'm losing crazy up there. I'm drunk because that's another thing that alcohol does, your judgment. So now I'm betting crazy on rolls when somebody's shooting the dice or myself. I'm losing crazy. Go to the ATM like 3 or 4 times. I come back. I start winning big, win all that money back and started winning so much money. My friend said, man, you need to get out of here. I looked at him. I was like, man, you crazy. I'm staying here. Next thing you know, the next memory I had was going to the ATM and my bank, the receipt saying my bank account was overdraft. So I blacked out. I'm walking zombie. I don't remember anything, losing all the money back, going to the ATM. My next memory was waking up that next morning outside by an abandoned building with birds chirping, cold ground in Atlantic City.
Wow.
So that one hurt me because I knew I had a problem then. I said, wow. And I began to cry because I was like, wow, what is wrong with me? Like, so of course, here I go again, trying to see. I think, and this is what I say to my clients too. I think the biggest mistake that I was making and that we make in trying to recover is trying to do it on our own and not taking suggestions, not following. We don't have to reinvent the wheel because we see different, and it's more than one pathway to recovery. For sure. You know, I could tell, talk a little bit about the way I took, but it's obvious our way's not working. Mm-hmm. So we continue to try to do it ourselves.
For sure.
So that's when I really knew I needed help then, but I did what I'd been used to doing.
We genuinely, like, sometimes we know we need help, mm-hmm. but we're just not willing to let go of our own ideas. We still think we know it all and we can figure it out. I have all the solutions, even though my thinking and my actions got me into the situation in the first place.
Yes.
It is a crazy place to be in. And you have to get to the point of realizing, I don't know shit. Yes. I don't know what to do, how to do it. I need help. I need to ask for help, find the resources.
Humility.
Yeah.
Be humble or get humbled.
Exactly. And just being willing to take the suggestion and actually do it.
Yes.
That's the point we have to get to. Yeah. Genuinely.
And really being sick and tired of way things are going. Like really they say being sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And enough is enough. Like, I can't do this anymore, and having a made up mind. Because it's still going to take a form of willpower, but you still have, outside of that, like for me, it's my faith. It's God. It's all of the tools now that I'm using, putting together, taking those suggestions. I had a sponsor and, talking to a therapist, going to meetings, AA meetings, GA meetings. All of these things, like putting it all together for me. Now, I'm not saying the next person has to do it the way I did it. I'm just saying what worked for me, but it did start with what we're talking about, beginning to humble myself and say, I need help. I'm going to take some suggestions.
Exactly.
And apply them.
And I was 18 when I got sober. And for me, I was actually like, when I realized that, oh my gosh, I don't have to figure it all out and I can actually ask other people for help and they're actually willing to give it to me, that became extremely freeing. Yes. And I was like, thank God I don't have to figure it out anymore because I am exhausted of trying to do that.
That's a great point.
But yeah, some people aren't so excited about that. But for me, I was gladly at the point of like, thank God, please tell me what to do. But then it got to the point, you know, like we gained some time, we gained some experience. And now it's like, okay, I think I can actually start making like responsible decisions for myself.
Yes.
And that was a scary place to get to because I was very excited to give it all up, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Like, I looked at it like, you know, you hear the word surrender, and it makes it feel like you're defeated. When you hear that word, I'm surrendering, I'm quitting, I'm defeated. And it makes it seem like it's a weak thing, but it's actually the opposite. When you surrender, that's one of the most courageous things you can do, and one of the smartest things you can do, because you're saying, I'm waving the white flag. This thing has beaten me up. I'm going to get some help. It opens the door for our mind, like you said, to start looking, and that relief comes to say, wow, I don't have to live behind this. I don't have to do this anymore. There is help out here. So I really resonated when you said that.
For sure. So how did you ended up getting to that point of surrender? Like, how long was your active addiction?
It was way after that Atlantic City incident. I told you. I'm talking, 28 years later.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Like, a couple of things happened in between that time.
For sure.
Of course, like a second DUI I'll talk about. From that time in Atlantic City, I'm going to just pick up from there. When I stopped for that short period of time, because I felt so guilty and shameful about waking up outside near an abandoned building, of course, I picked back up because I didn't change anything.
Yeah, that's your coping.
Yeah, that's my that's what I do, right? So from there, I'm still in college. By the way, I was on that 12-year never graduate plan because I was going part-time, and, you know, I would do good for taking 1 or 2 classes, and I'm in and out because I'm still drinking, partying, using drugs, all of that. So after a period of time, my brother, who was a big-time producer at that time, he got signed to a record deal with Madonna.
Wow.
And I ended up moving out LA with him, dropping out of college. Wow. And I was like, this is gonna be a fresh start. But I was still drinking and partying, and even I started rapping too. So, you know, he put the album out, you know, and it didn't do what it was supposed to or what they thought, which now I think is a good thing, because in that industry, if you coming in there with addiction and stuff like that,
you're screwed.
You're screwed. And I knew that. Like, I mean, I didn't know that then, but I know it now. I was like, it was a reason I believe God blocked that, because we were off the hook, you know. Our friends, the whole clique we had. So moved out LA, and then after that the music part didn't work out. So we're talking about a span from like probably five or 6 years, something like that, doing music. And then after that, I got to a place where I was back here working ins and odd jobs. And then I started my own business. So that 5-6 years, I was still drinking and smoking weed every day, but the harder drugs and the gambling, I wasn't doing at that time. So when I got back here, I started my business. It's a moving company, K&M Delivery and Moving, and been in business 24 years now.
Wow.
So, but yeah, but I don't know how, but other than God, I don't, because I threw away so much money and did so many negligent things. So only God's grace. So started the business, and for like the first 5 or 6 years, I was zoned out. I wasn't even drinking at this time. I was still smoking weed every day. I was been smoking weed pretty much every day from the age of 18 to when I stopped, 49, pretty much every day. But I was so focused on getting this business started that I was just working real hard. So you're talking about a 6-year period where I was just building the business, learning all about business, getting a business mind. Finally got the business to a place, me and a partner of mine who started it with me, where we had our own clients now. We had clientele now doing moving jobs. So right when I got to that, because I said to myself, I accomplished the American dream. I bought my first condo. I had two vehicles that I bought. I had an 800 credit score, and I had money in the bank, and I was traveling. And of course, my low self-esteem, I had to have some women to make me feel better. So with that, I said, I made it. I accomplished it. All my goals came true. And I did not have a plan for what the next step was. So what did I do? I said, I owe myself a good time. And this was the time right around the height of Texas Hold'em poker. And I loved cards from a young man. I loved it, so I was watching it. So what did I start doing? Started throwing card parties. Started drinking every day now. Now my drinking is starting to spiral. Now what do? I start going to the casinos. I start craving that big shot. Like, I'm big man, I made it. I got money now. I'm going to the casinos. They're comping me rooms, suites. They're comping me food, all of this. Everybody in the casino knows my name. So I'm thinking like, yeah, you the man now. The worst thing that could have happened to me. So now I'm full-fledged in everything. Alcohol, the gambling, the weed every day. Now I'm back to even lacing a little bit. I'm back to getting crack, lacing a little bit. So this was the beginning of the spiral for me. So this was like a 6-year period. I remember right around 35, 36. That's when my business was, I got to that point. So from 36 to almost 40 years old, it was all drugs, alcohol, gambling, like straight, like a 4-year binge almost. So I remember 6 months right before I turned 40 years old, I had, and it was crazy because a lot of bad stuff was happening in between that, but I was so deceived because I'm like, you're doing good. You got your own condo. You got your money in the bank and all that. So I remember right before I turned 40, I had moved from my condo because the area I lived in, it started getting real bad. They broke into my apartment looking for stuff. I guess they thought I was selling drugs too at that time because they saw watching what I was doing. They didn't find anything. They kept coming back. And then one day I walked in on them in my house, in my condo. So thank God they didn't have a gun. And thank God I wasn't a person who cooked a lot where they could have went and grabbed some knives off the cutlery. So what they do, they grab some skillets. They had skillets. And I'm in there with a young lady that I picked up on my way home. And I walked back to, matter of fact, we're sitting in the living room area for a while, drinking, smoking weed, having a good old time. I don't even know these guys in there. They're in my back room, and I walk back there, and these two guys have 2 iron skillets, and they commenced to start swinging and hitting me all in my face and all that. What? Yes. So I get out of that. I get enough energy to get them off of me, and they end up running out. And this is part of where addiction and doing these things can affect you, and you don't even know it. People are watching me thinking I'm selling drugs and things like that, and I'm slipping. I'm not paying attention to my surroundings because I'm drinking and I'm high. So after that, of course, I moved out of that area. So that's where I wanted to get to this story. So I moved from this condo And I went back over on that side because I went to a bar over there. And I went out drinking one night over there. And I had like 10 Patron margaritas or something like that. It was something crazy amount. Then I get in my car, I'm smoking, and I drive, and I'm saying I'm about to go home. I had moved from this condo. I drive to the condo that I'm now renting out, thinking I still live there. And when I drove up the entrance into the condo, it's like a wooded area on this side. I blacked out, went into the wooded area. And normally there's cars parked alongside, on the side where you can't go there. I would have hit a car. For some reason this night, there was no cars there. I go in the wooded area, drive through the woods, smack into a tree, and the airbags come out. And I wake up and I'm like, what in the world? Like nothing happened to me. I had like a little scratch on my arm.
You're numb.
That's the thing, right? And that's the dangerous part too, because without consequences of us continuing to do this madness, it's gonna be tough to stop too. So when that airbag came out and I woke up, I said, oh my goodness. I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't even live here anymore, right? So I go to my condo where the lady's renting out, and I tell her, look, I'm drunk. I just smashed my car in the woods. I said the police are about to come because I knew my car was still registered to that address. And I was like, can I just sit here for a minute? If they come, tell them I'm not here. Sure enough, they knock on the door. Is Malik Keene here? And she's like, no, I haven't seen him.
She had your back.
She had my back. She's like, no, I haven't seen him. He only comes to pick up his rent money once a month or whatever. So I get out of that. And then the next thing I know, one of my friends came to pick me up. I went and stayed with him. I come back to the spot where I went in the woods. And I walked in the woods to see if anything came out my car or any of that. Behind that tree was a drop to the sewer system.
Wow. Like
several feet. So that was the first time that I believe I know that I encountered God in a way that I never thought about God before. Because when I went to my place I was living in now, one of my other friends I grew up with, he turned his life around. He had stopped gambling, he stopped drinking, he stopped smoking. And he was always telling me about his journey now. He's, in the church, he's gave his life to Christ. He comes over and he just starts talking about God. And then it just hit me. I said, man, there has to be a God. There's no way I smacked in that tree. And then I started thinking about my journey. I started thinking about my life, all those other car accidents I got into. And I skipped past another car accident that was serious when I was 21 too. But I started thinking about all of that and I was like, wow, like it's no way that there's not a God, because how can I explain this? Right. So that was like my first thought, to be like, yeah, God is real.
For sure.
So that lasted for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
You believing in, like, you thinking about God?
Well, not really. I'm going to say really that seriousness of it. Like, I think it never went anywhere. It was always in the back of my mind, God is real. But the part where I said, man, I'm not drinking no more. Definitely not drinking and driving anymore.
That lasted a few weeks.
Yeah, that lasted a few weeks. I'm right back at it. 6 months after that accident, I catch my second DUI. And we talking about milestone years.
So you didn't get a DUI for your car being in that?
No.
That's so interesting. They didn't try and find you afterwards?
They
just gave up?
I called it in stolen.
Oh.
I called it in stolen.
That's
you know,
insane.
I'm not proud of that, but you know, that's what happened. So,
For sure.
you know, so it was so many things happening that I was like, wow. And then just to go back, I just want to talk about this one accident when I was 21, because it seems like it was milestone years where I just was really bad off. 21 and 40 years old. So 21 years old, around that same time at Howard, at home for the weekend, drinking. My cousin and two of my friends. We used to go down Georgetown in D.C., hang out down there, drinking, be around the people. I got in 2 car accidents in one night, and I was drunk the whole time. In Georgetown, I tried to catch a yellow light, and the car in front of me stopped, and I hit the back of the car, and I knew I was drunk, so I was like, I'm gone. I fled the scene. And then we go back out in Maryland where we lived, and then we are all getting high at my friend's house, drinking some more, and then we say we got the munchies, we're gonna go to 7-Eleven. So it's raining outside at this point. So I'm driving. It's raining outside. We have been drinking the whole night, getting high, smoking big weed. I get on the way to 7-Eleven, I decide I want to do 120 miles an hour, and the 7-Eleven is probably 3 miles away. So I'm on the road driving and just gunned it. I press on brakes. The anti-lock brakes locked up, slid for what seemed like an eternity into this intersection. And this car, a big car, like a Lincoln Continental or something, and we're in an Altima, a Nissan Altima at that time. Smacked the back of the car. We go through a blinking red light. He had the right of way. Smacked us. We do like 2 360s and end up on somebody's front lawn right next to a tree. And none of us had a mark on us.
Wow.
So it was things like that I went there because that incident that happened later on, it reminded me of how many car accidents that I got into and could have been the end. So that's when I really, like I said, after that other accident, that's when I started really thinking more about God. But did I stop? No.
Right.
Second DUI 6 months later.
Yeah, reflecting back on the DUIs, honestly, to this day, I'm still facing the consequences of my DUIs, and which it is what it is. I deserve it, truly. And I've totaled so many cars, have put people's lives in danger. I don't know how many times. And it's horrible. And when I think back and genuinely reflect on what I've done, I feel like shit about myself. How was that process for you?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like, it was, I think that's what led me even to a deeper spiral, because after that second DUI, I had the interlock in my car, the breathalyzer. So it was embarrassing, just going out and you had to, and just how I felt. It was like, wow, you're 40 years old now. Is this who you are? Is this what your life is becoming? The guilt, the shame, and just feeling just terrible about myself. Like I failed. I still had my business, but I'm losing clients now because I'm drunk all the time. I'm putting alcohol, drugs, and gambling before anything. So yeah, it was a lot of consequences with that.
And it also, tying into the God thing, it really makes you think like God was there.
Oh yeah.
In those situations. Because only one DUI I got kind of hurt, but it was whatever. It was my fault for not wearing a seatbelt. But it's like, it was just the cars that were mainly damaged and nobody else really got injured. And that's a miracle because I was not conscious.
Yes. That's such a good point, because like with that, Like even after going through that process, like I was so depressed and so much addicted to alcohol and drugs. Like even after that second DUI, when I had to have the interlock and the breathalyzer in my car, now what I would do is just find ways around it. Now I went to Pep Boys, the little auto store. I bought a test kit to blow in before I blew in that, because you couldn't blow over like a .02 that would show that you had alcohol. So I failed one or two, and if you failed like the third one, they kick you off of it or whatever. So after I failed that second one, I said, man, I got to find a way.
Yeah.
So I bought the test kit, and I would always blow in that because I still was drinking. And what I would do now was go to the casino, get comp rooms for a whole week, and just stay there and drink because I ain't had to drive. So I went to lengths to make sure that I could keep this lifestyle going. But like you were kind of talking about it earlier, that led me into the solution was to drink more, to put myself out, because I'm already miserable. I'm already depressed. I'm already feeling guilt and shame. Let's get high and drink and gamble. That's going to fix it, because I don't have to face what I'm going through like that. If I'm out of my mind and I'm gambling, I don't have to face it. But there comes a time that we're going to get to that fork in the road, and that this is what leading up to what you're talking about with God. This is what did it for me too. I met a young lady at the casino during this time where I'm off the hook, and we ended up getting together. Matter of fact, I had proposed to her, but it was a wake-up call because we both were suffering from a gambling addiction, and I was way worse. I had a alcohol addiction, a drug addiction, and our relationship was so toxic. Like, it was terrible. Like, I feel bad about some of the things that took place in there. I take accountability, and I heard you even on one of your shows talking about amends and forgiveness and all of that. So, but this one was really like the worst, and that ended up being kind of the best thing that happened, because it led me to Gamblers Anonymous. And with my second DUI, I was introduced to AA and Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And those things were planting seeds at the time. Even though I didn't stop, seeds were being planted. So with this young lady, it ended up being so toxic that I said, you know what? I'm going to try God. I tried, and it was a combination. I'm not just saying her. It was a combination of years and years of this. And now, by this time, not only am I lacing crack, now I'm smoking dippers, which is PCP, on cigarettes. I'm popping Molly pills, E-pills, stuff that I said I would never do. That's where this took me. And I just remember being in my apartment at that time. I didn't even go outside for like weeks sometimes. I wouldn't even open the blinds. I would have my dope man bring me an 8-ball of crack and some liquor. I'll give you the money when you get here. And then I'll already have a lot of weed. And then I'll have whatever young ladies coming over, and they bringing PCP, the dippers, they're bringing the mollies, or my other man bringing me the mollies and the E-pills. And I'm just binging out. So all this going on with this young lady that I met at the casino too, just a toxic environment. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to try God. And remember my friend who I told you turned his life around, he was in my ear. It was like God was always putting people around me in the midst. I love what you said, because out of all those times I was driving drunk, only got caught twice. It was like 1,000,000 times. You know what I'm
I
saying?
deserve like 600 DUIs.
Yes. And 600
car accidents.
Yes.
But I only got the 3.
Yes.
You only got the 2. That is a miracle. And the fact that nobody was injured is a miracle.
It's a miracle.
And yes, it is so like fucking horrible that we did that and that we put ourselves and other people in that situation. But God was genuinely there with us.
Absolutely.
And it led us to where we are today. I genuinely would not be sober if I didn't get my DUIs. I would not have gotten sober if I didn't have the consequences of my addiction.
Yes.
I would have never, that was my wake-up call. My 3rd DUI was my wake-up call that was like screaming at me, holy shit, Laisha, get help.
Yes.
Otherwise, trust me, I would still be drinking and smoking weed today.
I totally agree. Like I said, remember we were talking earlier, it wasn't consequences. So I'm like, oh, you good. You good. But you know what? They say that your addiction starts off as fun, then it becomes fun with problems, and then the next thing you know, it's all problems.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's what happened. So at the end of that, getting to that place, I was really at that fork in the road. And the thing about it is, even with that, when I gave my life to Christ at 43 years old. I didn't get clean till I was 49.
Wow.
So even my main thing is when I'm talking to my clients, I'm like, yes, faith is important. It is. But faith without works is dead. Meaning that you can believe in God and you can say, yeah, God's grace is good.
Yeah.
But you still gotta have a program in place. You still have to do something. It's something required of you because I'm not saying that God can't do it. That wasn't my story. It wasn't like I gave my life to Christ and then the next day I didn't
Life
drink
is great,
I didn't drink or smoke no more. That wasn't my story. Yes, there were some things that changed, like my language and the music I listened to. There were some things, but the addiction, that was something, it was a stronghold. It was deep rooted. So I had to really go through the process, but I never stopped though. I kept reading scriptures. I kept going to AA. I kept going to church. I kept, no matter what it was, even though I would leave church and go straight to the liquor store and go to the casino and call my dope man, but I just continued to do it every week because I believed that God could do it. I believe he could heal me and deliver me. But until I surrendered, it wasn't going to happen. Until I truly turn this is one of the steps. It talks about turning your will over and your life over to the care of God. Like letting go, really saying, God, I can't do this. I want to do it your way. So yeah, that was huge for me. Like, so all this was going on, like I said, from 43 to 49, gave my life to Christ at 43. 49, checked into the rehab. And some things that happened that last year, checked into rehab in 2021. The things that happened that last year, I knew I was running out of grace. I knew. It was so heavy on my spirit because I tried it all. I tried calling Uber when I got drunk. So I would call the Uber I would go to the liquor store on my way home, drink that, call the Uber to go back to the liquor store. I would say, I'm only going to get a pint. So I'll go home, drink the pint, call the Uber to go back to the liquor store, get another pint, drink that, and then I would drive to the liquor store to get a 5th of liquor. So it was the insanity. So I had tried to put up all these boundaries and these things, and none of them ever worked because I personally had crossed that line. Yeah. I can't drink like regularly. I can't drink like an average person who doesn't deal with this drinks. I can't do it. I can't do anything like that because that's just how I'm wired. And I think I crossed that line early on. So that last year, it was I almost caught a third DUI in West Virginia. The grace of God, I'm at the casino at West Virginia. I had just finished drinking a pint of Hennessy, and I went back to I'm at the hotel casino. I was drinking it in the parking lot. After I drank that, I went back to the 7-Eleven, because you can get liquor there at the 7-Eleven, to buy another one. And I'm sitting in the parking lot. Next thing you know, it's a knock on my window, and it's West Virginia police officers. And they're like, yeah, we got a call. You've been sitting here all day. And I'm like, no, I just got back here. They open it. They's like, okay, go ahead. I'm on the phone. They like, okay, finish your call. I get off the phone. They like, you got any drugs or weapons or anything in the vehicle? I'm like, no, I don't have anything. I had weed on me. And the bottle that I drank was sitting on the floor, so they saw it. They saw the empty bottle. It was like, man, I smell alcohol, man. I was like, look, I just started pleading with him. I said, listen, I'm going through something right now. I said, I already have 2 DUIs. This is what I'm saying. I'm telling the officer straight up. I already have 2 DUIs because I knew if I caught that one, I was done. I said, I can't get a third DUI, officer. I was like, I'm not bothering anybody. I said, I'm staying at the casino hotel down the street. I was like, show me some grace.
Damn.
So they get me out the car. I had the bag of weed in my hand, and I threw it under the car. And he said, we got to do a field sobriety test. They do the test. I'm telling you, God is good. My test came back .0825. Which is over the limit. They could have locked me up. He found the weed through his dash cam, and he said, is this yours? I said, yeah. He said, look, we're not going to lock you up, but you got to walk back to the casino. You can't, they said you could park your car here, but you can't drive. You got to walk here. I was like, officer, this is going to be the best walk I've had in my life, right? But that was only the grace of God.
No, yeah, they were very nice.
They were
to you.
They were. It was 2 Caucasian men and a Hispanic cop.
3 of them?
Yes.
Damn.
One of them, I think, was like a rookie. He was getting trained.
Yeah.
And they were. I was just like, wow. So this is in February of 2021. I checked myself in the rehab in September. So even after that one, it just gets worse and worse, right? Because after that, I go to Atlantic City. Same year, probably around, this was right around July. I go to Atlantic City. And mind you, before that, I almost got in another car accident, drunk driving too, high. So in like July, August, I think it was the end of July, I go to Atlantic City and I'm gambling. I start drinking from like 9 a.m. until now it's like 4 in the morning the next day. I haven't been to sleep. I'm drinking all day. I'm smoking. Got some crack out there, laced it. I come from the casino. I go back to my hotel room, and there's this older man out there, and we get to talking. And this during COVID, remember? So COVID, this was like when it was dying down a little bit, but you still wearing masks and stuff like that. So old man sitting out there, he's like, yeah, man, you got a cigarette or whatever? And I was like, yeah, here you go, whatever. So after that, I pull out a blunt, start smoking the weed. And he's like, you got some more weed? I'm like, here, you could hit this. He was like, man, it's COVID. I'm not hitting that after you or whatever. So we got to talking. And he come to find out he struggled with an addiction. He had an addiction that he overcame. So I started telling him about my story and how, my lifestyle and all of that stuff. And then right after we finished, it's like 6 a.m. now, something like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go back in the casino and win some more money. He was like, you need to go to bed and you need rehab. When he said that, though, something struck in me though.
Has nobody ever told you that?
Yes, but that's the crazy part. My family, my ex-girlfriends, they told me in a polite way. It wasn't like he said it.
Do you think it was because this guy had direct experience and you guys were like connecting through a story or what?
I think that has something to do with it, but more importantly, I just think God used him right then at that time to tell me exactly what I needed to hear. And for some reason, it hit different this time.
Right.
After he said that, I knew I was going to rehab. I couldn't even sleep. I didn't go back to the casino. I went out to my room and I was like, man, I'm gonna take a nap and I'm gonna hit the road and get out of here. I couldn't even sleep. All I kept hearing was, wow, you need help. You need help. It was like, and then I was tired of being a hypocrite too, because I was going to church saying I love God and I wanted to live for God. But as soon as I leave church, I'm acting crazy, acting a fool, doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So it was that pull that I really believed. So after that, on my way home from Atlantic City, I started calling rehabs. And I said, do you take my insurance? They was like, yeah, 100%. They was like, you could come today. I was like, I gotta.
That's a little scary.
Give me a time frame.
I remember I told my person that was trying to get me to go to treatment. He was like, when do you want to come? I was like, maybe a month from now. What do you think? And he was like, I can book you a flight for 2 days from now.
Wow. So
it's so funny, yeah, because if it's up to us, we're gonna postpone it for as long as we can.
Yes. So I did postpone it because I had some moving jobs on my schedule.
Sure.
But what I did was after that last job that I saw on my calendar, I X'd it off and they said, call back, and you can call back a day before you're ready, and we'll have a bed for you.
Wow.
I called back. So within a month from that last experience in Atlantic City, I was in rehab.
It's amazing.
And I knew something was different this time. I knew it.
That was your first time in treatment?
Yes. Yep. Should have been there probably years ago, but God's timing. We're there. Right. We're there when it's time, right? It's never too late. That's what I tell my clients that too. Like, look, I didn't go into rehab till I was 49 years old. And now I'm 53. And my life has done a full 180. And I didn't even get to the part of filing bankruptcy and all of that other stuff. Like, it's so much other stuff because we just can't share it all.
I know, we'll be here forever.
Right.
Like, we can get in so many of the nitty gritty and the details.
Yes. Yep. So from there, like, I truly surrendered. I went to rehab and, this time I really gave my life to Christ. I really said, God, have it your way. However you want, wherever you want me to do, how you want me to do it, I'm seeking you to find that out. And when I got to rehab, I was a sponge. I listened to everything. I took all suggestions. I did all the workbook stuff, all the exercises. I picked up a service position in there. I was mopping the floors, taking out the trash. And then there's another part of that story. In rehab, I was playing basketball and tore my Achilles in rehab. So I'm getting angry at God. Like, I'm here doing the right thing and now I tear my Achilles. I had a contract lined up for me when I got out, but he worked that out too. Got somebody to run the contract, and it was meant to be because guess what happened? After I tore my Achilles, I went to the hospital that night, and one of the young ladies I was good friends with at the time, she came up there, and she was like, Malik, come home. Come to my house, I'm going to take care of you. And at first, I was like, okay. And then I heard something and said, no, you're not. You're going back to the treatment center. You're going to finish out this time in the rehab. With the torn Achilles and everything. I go back to the rehab and I get to my room and it's a paper plate on the bed and everybody in the community signed that paper plate and told me how much I meant to them. Because I knew in recovery that I believed that it was a purpose for me to help people in addiction, even in the midst of mine. But I was pouring into people, praying for them and things like that, even while I was going through it. But that paper plate and that right there, it sealed it. It broke me down. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't leave with that my friend, because I knew I was going straight to the liquor store and I was calling my plug. So that was the start of the turnaround for me. And
Wow.
Yep. So
When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
Like when you start seeing those like synchronicities and God working for you, it really changes your perspective.
Yes.
It's amazing. And look, you're an author.
Yes. Overcoming addiction.
I got 2
through
copies.
Grace.
Overcoming Addiction, yeah.
Yep.
Overcoming Addiction Through Grace, an inspirational guide and path to sustained recovery by Malik Keene.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, God turned it around, and a lot of it is just, some of the stories that I've talked about today are in there, and then a lot of it is practical things that you can do, and when you're going through, because we share so many similarities as we're in recovery, dealing with the depression, the shame, guilt, fear, all of
look, you and me, 2 completely different backgrounds, grew up in different areas, different ethnicities, different all this stuff, and we still today in this conversation have related to each other in so many different ways. And that is the most beautiful thing. One of the most beautiful things I've experienced in recovery. It's like, wow, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you, even though we're so similar in so many different ways, even though if you were to look at us like at surface, on a surface level, we'd be like, what business do I have talking to this guy? You know what I mean?
That's so true. We have more in common.
I love it. And that also what I just said, getting into that mindset of seeing the similarities, changed my life. Like, wow, we're all so much more similar and not so different after all. Because you feel so we feel terminally unique.
Yes.
And we think that nobody gets it. Yep. And nobody knows what it's like to have my struggles and things like that. And yes, some of us have unique situations, but you'll realize a lot of us are much more similar than different.
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to connect. And, they say the opposite of addiction is connection, So even with my coaching strategy, I do 3 phases. And the first one is, what's your foundation, your purpose? Building a relationship with God is the first one. Then connecting to peers, building your support groups, finding your new family. The people because like you said, we all want the same thing out of life. I don't care who you are. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants peace, joy, all of these things. So finding the people that are going in that direction. And then the last thing is the last phase is just the healthy habits and daily routines. Developing these healthy habits and daily routines that are going to change your life over time as you continue to do them. So it's for everybody, We all, like you said, we're way more similar than we are different.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And you've kind of dedicated your time in recovery to help other people find their path. How do you go about doing that?
Wow. Like I said, when I realized this is what I want to do, and I truly believe is my God-given purpose, I went out and got I'm a certified peer recovery specialist, also a certified and addiction recovery coach. And now I do work right now with part-time with an agency in Massachusetts to help people on problem gambling too. And then I'm also building my business. I'm founder of Amazing Grace Recovery, coaching, helping people one-on-one, coaching them, and just giving them the pathway that I took and helping them strategize a pathway for themselves. So I'm founder of Amazing Grace Recovery, and then outside of that, it's just pouring back into people and just letting them know, sharing my testimony about how God helped me through this. what I did to overcome my addiction. Because another stigma that I think it is once an addict, always an addict.
Ooh.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
Because and I know this is controversial, because I believe that, and this is saying it humbly, because God gets the glory. I believe God has delivered me from that. And just because I used to live a lifestyle of being addicted to alcohol, drugs, gambling, and cigarettes, that doesn't make me who I am. That's something that I did. Now, that's not to say that you won't have behaviors of someone who went through those things. And not to say that those thoughts or the compulsion can't come back or doesn't try to creep up back. But I refuse to identify myself as an addict right now when I haven't had a drug, alcohol. I haven't gambled for almost drug or alcohol for over 4 years, and I haven't gambled for almost 4 years.
I hear you.
Well,
I see your perspective. I really do. And I've heard that before, and I do believe, from what I've witnessed and what I've heard from people, I feel like that what you just said is a more common way of thinking for people, who follow Christ.
yes.
Because the belief is that Christ has completely removed that from my life. And yeah, of course, you haven't used an X amount of time. Like, how am I still an addict? Mm-hmm. So I hear that and I understand that. Mm-hmm. But I like to continue to, I get it, because an addict isn't all we are. We're so much more than that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's so much power in me sitting here today with 4.5 years sober saying, yes, I am an addict and an alcoholic. Because it's that just shows that I can go from A to B or A to Z. You know what I mean? I completely changed my life around, but I know I still have that thing in me. At the end of the day, if I pick up a drink, it's over.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That still makes me an addict. I'm still an addict because in my life, I still have those addictive tendencies. Mm-hmm. I overconsume or underconsume. I do things to extremes. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I can see that. I see that point.
And I feel owning that is kind of breaking the stigma. Owning that I am an addict and an alcoholic still to this day with 4.5 years sober is me breaking the stigma and owning that it's just a part of who I am. It's not who I am. It's just a part of it, of my story and my journey. And owning the label, I feel in turn breaks the stigma.
I think this is a great conversation to have because I like what you said. It's not who you are. It's a part of your story. And even someone can say it's a part of who I am. Mm-hmm. I understand that. And when I say it, it's not to change anyone's, because do what's working for you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Do what's working. But me personally, I never felt comfortable, even in the meetings, saying, even when I was in the midst of my addiction, I didn't feel comfortable saying it, because it was something in me saying, nah, you're more than that.
And of course you are. Of course you are.
Right. But I love what you're saying about the stigma, because you can still say that and show other people who are struggling. Because
of course it's it's kind of the stigma of why we don't want to say we're an addict. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's also just fucking own that shit. You're an addict. Whatever. You know what I mean? Right. It's not that fucking deep anymore. Right. And I don't know. I just think owning that, being us, who we are today, helps the person who might be in the midst and maybe want to find sobriety.
No,
if that's the route for them.
I believe that definitely can help. And I guess when I talk to my clients about that too, what I say is that words have power too.
Yes.
So I say, if that's going to help you stay clean, saying it that way, if that's going to remind you and keep you humble,
right?
That's okay, and help someone else. That's good.
I think maybe the slightly negative thing I can see from your perspective is that it gives the illusion that at some point I become not an addict and then can drink again like a normal person. For some people that can work. For some people that can't.
When I'm saying it, it's not saying it in that.
Right.
It's not. So I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, I can see how someone can think that. But with me saying it, it's saying that I'm free from.
Yes,
and
I
it's
hear
still.
you.
And guess what? It's still one day at a time.
100%.
I'm free today. It is still one day at a time.
Yeah.
So that's the thing right there. But this is good because I wanted to have this conversation. So I think it should be a space to go more in detail with both sides of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, these are the exact conversations like I love to have on the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like this is why I do this. And I haven't had the experience of relapse. So I genuinely, from other people's stories, I choose to take their experience as my own. Of wow, I tried to smoke weed this one time and I couldn't stop smoking weed. I spent all my money on weed. Then I bought a drink, and I choose to believe that's what would happen to me, just from like hearing their experience and looking back in my experience.
Oh, I believe that will happen to me too.
Exactly.
I do. I believe wholeheartedly.
But I also, with this whole platform and everything, there's not one way for recovery. You know what I mean? Recovery doesn't always mean abstinence. Recovery doesn't always mean sobriety. But for me and a lot of the people that I bring on this platform, that is what it means for them. But yeah, sobriety isn't the route for everybody. Some people could have, and I've seen it and witnessed it, and some of these people are very good friends of mine. They struggled with sex work, with addiction, with alcoholism, with so many different things. They literally find Jesus Christ, give their lives to Christ, and they can honestly like just have a drink once a month and it not be an issue. That is a miracle. I don't think that's me though.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. And that's their story and their journey and their experience. But for some people, it's just like abstinence might be the best route for you.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Yeah, that's interesting, but
and it's like,
and I believe I believe that.
In early sobriety, early recovery, Laisha would be like, "No way, that's not possible," because they had this weird, rigid mindset of like, it's all or nothing.
Yes,
you know what I mean. It's like you're sober or you're not, and I think there even in the like AA recovery community, there is that stigma of like,
yes, it is. Like even if you don't come to meetings, then you're not doing it, you know, all of those types of things. Yes.
From literally just doing this podcast and meeting and interacting with so many people and hearing so many people's stories, it's like, wow, there's really
the multiple pathways. And guess what? What works for me may not work for the next person. So I can't push that on the next person. All I could do is share my journey, share my experience, strength, and hope. And if that fits for you and you get something out of it, I say try it. If not, you have to figure out what's going to work for you. We all do. But I know one thing, I never heard nobody say they went back out there after a period of time and things got better.
Right.
So I've never heard that one. That will be new to me. But someone that you're talking about that has been delivered and says and believes in Jesus and knows that they're free now, and they went out and now they could drink occasionally or without going across the line.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
That's awesome. You know, I just know for me, I don't even want
to risk it.
Right.
That's the thing for me. It's like, maybe that could be me.
Right.
I don't trust it.
But I remember my story. You know, I play back the movie because of the romanticizing it.
Yes. And I can fall into that so easily. Romanticizing it.
Yes. And then guess what we do? We leave out the bad part. Yeah. We play the movie back. We start in the beginning, in the middle, but we don't play it all the way to the end, right?
Exactly.
We don't play the movie to the end where it was when we were depressed, suicide ideation, when we were miserable, hopeless, helpless, all of those things, scared. So we got to play that movie to the end. Well, let me say, I'm going to play the movie to the end. So yeah, this. I appreciate you.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
Really appreciate just us getting connected, you reaching out. It's been amazing.
I appreciate you having me on here. And are you going to tell anybody about how if they want to reach me, they can? Or can I tell
them?
Okay. All right. And I think, are you going to put it? Can you
of course.
Put it in the links?
Everything will be in the description.
The description.
How do they reach you? Why would they reach you?
All right. Well, look, it's a couple different ways. You can reach me. I have a Freedom from Addiction Facebook group. All are welcome. Anybody who wants to be around a community of people who are they can be in their addiction, trying to overcome addiction. They can be wanting to help a loved one. Just go to the description and click on the link for the community Facebook group. Also, can you put the book link on there? Of
course. We got the book. Okay. We got his contact. We got the Facebook group. It'll all be down there.
And then the last thing is if anybody wants coaching, one-on-one coaching or a free coaching session, then the link, you can schedule that, a call with me. I would love to hear from you.
Sweet. So, well, thank you so much for coming on the F The Stigma podcast. It's been an amazing conversation.
Thank you so much.